This show has been brought to you by Interpool Security and the Creative Arts Center.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to the hosts of Candidates Unfiltered, Shawana Cashel.
Welcome to Candidates Unfiltered, a platform that delves beyond politics, campaigns, and speeches to uncover the human side of aspiring leaders. Today, we are privileged to introduce an exceptional guest, Robert Morris, a businessman, philanthropist, and politician. Robert Morris's journey has been shaped by his belief in the power of individual spirit and self-determination. Prepare to be inspired by his dedication and his vision to a better future. Let's get unfiltered with Robert Morris. Thank you. So Robert's heart lies in the young generation. His commitment to integrity and fact-checking sets him apart as a leader whose values accountability and transparency in governance. As Robert aspires to lead Liberia towards a better tomorrow, he envisions a nation where every citizen thrives, where education empowers, and where the spirit of unity prevails. Are you ready to get unfiltered? Yes! Awesome, awesome. So how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I can't complain. Welcome to Candidates Unfiltered. I'm so excited to ask you so many questions.
I'm excited to answer.
So, but for my first question, let's go back to before you were a teenager. Family life. What was it like growing up in your home? What were the conversations that were happening around your dinner table?
Very, very fun time. Very peaceful time in Liberia. At that time, around the dinner table, pretty much a lot about agriculture. My father is an agronomist, still alive. Very old, but still alive.
Oh, good, okay.
And my mother worked at the airport, and so we talked a lot about agriculture and airports and airplanes. That was a lot of what we heard in business. I mean,
Business.
my father, he ran his own business.
Okay.
As
Did you work with him?
We did. We had to work every summer.
Okay.
Every school break, we had to work.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Awesome.
In the beginning, it was fun, but sometimes it was very strict and wanted you to actually work.
I'm sure it has a lot to do with
It does.
who you are today
It
because
probably
of
does,
that.
yeah.
So let's go back a little bit. I'm going to show you a picture right here. It looks, in your teen years. So I want to know, who were your closest friends as a teenager? And, what kind of mischief and activities did you get into at that age?
As a teenager, like any other teenager, some of my closest friends, Fanati Collins, Reno Menza, Brian Johnson, Eugene Kwekwe. We, back then as teenagers, we would go to the beach illegally. My mother had this fear of water. She didn't want us going to the beach. And of course, I went to ELWA. So after school, we would sneak out, take our beach clothes and go to the beach illegally without anybody knowing. And it was a big thing. A couple of times we came home and she was like, "Is that beach sand I see?" You said, No. Beach sand.
Yeah.
So those kinds of things, we were just fun-loving teenagers.
So let's talk about love. Love often plays a role in shaping our lives. Can you tell me about a defining moment in any of your romantic relationships that has a lasting impact on your life today?
Well, if I would talk about any other one, it would be something else. But the honest truth is, my current wife is probably the most interesting one.
Yes.
And it's true. I wasn't the romantic. People didn't. They didn't see me to be like the romantic type.
Right,
I was
right.
always, very pedantic. Kind of like driven type A. So romance was there, but it wasn't. That's not what you thought about when you thought about me.
Right.
I didn't like traveling to Europe. I didn't like Europe. Period. I lived in the States at the time, and my wife lived in London or England. And my best friend was getting married, okay? And I was standing in the wedding and I didn't want to go. This is the true story. I don't know if he's ever heard this story, so he's probably gonna hear it from here. So we needed a visa to go. I didn't want to go to the wedding. I didn't want to go to England. I just didn't like going there.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I don't want to go. And so I had to apply for a visa. Apply for the visa late, hoping that the visa wouldn't get back on time. I lived in Maryland at the time, and you had to apply to New York. And I applied to New York, and the visa didn't get there. And we had rented our rooms and everything and all of this. And it was like there was this one cutoff period where if I didn't get the visa by then I couldn't. They had to take me and get somebody else. And I was biting my nails, hoping the visa wouldn't come. Literally, I came home that night of the day where I thought I was just going to call him and say, hey, the visa didn't come. And it was in this, brown plastic thing, and it was sitting at my front door. And then I said, you know what? God probably wants me to go. And I was like, if I'm going, I'll have some fun, and I'll just go. And I packed up and I went, and I ended up meeting my wife at that wedding. I despise weddings also.
Okay.
I despise weddings. I didn't just used to like weddings. So I went there, and that was where I met her. And I know she thought I was crazy when I met her, but I told her right then and there, I said, I need your number.
Oh.
I need your email address. I need your address. I need any other kind of communication you have. And, it's a wedding. There had been a lot of alcohol. We're smoking some expensive cigars. And so she probably thought I was crazy. And in fact, I remember that day we didn't have anything to write it on. I said, just wait. And there was the napkins. I took a napkin. I don't know if I still got it. And that's where I wrote everything.
So what was it about her that made you just kind of...
I don't know. It was one of the first time it's happened to me. It just struck me.
Wow.
I was sitting there, I lay out her, I said, finish.
That is too cute.
And I literally told her that. She thought I was crazy.
I'm sure.
And it is today. And then when we actually sat down, sober, of course, now, and we sat down to talk, and then I found out that she had shared a similar passion for Liberia that I did. And I was like, what?
Wow.
Because I didn't think, some
lady in London.
Living in London.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. I was like, oh, it's on. So the man I hated going to England, going to Europe.
You were there
I was
all
there
the time.
every weekend because I worked with the airlines at the time at the airport. And I was there every weekend.
Wow.
If I missed one weekend, I used to do it in my sleep. And, I would hide it because people would be like, oh, so you're going to England now?
Wow.
So that was that. Yeah.
That's a beautiful story. So hobbies. Let's talk about your hobbies. I know that in your public life you're a very busy man, but what types of things do you do to kind of, lay back, relax, and what triggers your creativity?
When you have the kind of lifestyle that I have, and most people who are like very sort of high achievers and very busy and always, you have to find something to balance you. If you don't, you'll burn out.
Yeah.
So I do some very unorthodox things. I love puzzles. Every time somebody's coming from away, they say, hey, what should I get? I say, hey, get me a puzzle. I tell them it's for the kids. And so, I don't need anything. Just get the kids some puzzles. And the puzzles come to me, and the kids fight over who would do it first. We usually do it together. But I'm also a poet. I write. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
How long have you been writing?
Forever. I've been writing since probably my pre-teenage years. I didn't know I was doing poetry.
Okay.
Some of my emails that I even write to people,
They're poetic
they're
emails.
poetic, and they tell me that,
Okay, so I think I definitely want to hear one of these. A short piece. Do you?
Yeah,
Can you
I
share?
can find one.
Okay. Because when you say you're writing poetic emails,
I do.
have
Some
to
of them
hear.
they become poetic. I do actual poetry, but then
okay.
that's how I express myself, and that's how I wind down. But this is one of my poems I did a long time ago. It's called If Only.
Okay.
If only wars were a disease that doctors could cure. If only there were more tears of joy than of pain. If only mommy didn't have to go so soon. If only JC could be my best man. Then maybe all this rage inside would subside and life would become the beauty it was designed to be. If only her smile would heal the world like it did mine. If only genuine laughter would infect more. If only long walks never had to end. If only train rides could feel so good. Oh, what a wholesome universe this would be, where the gods above would jump for joy.
Wow. That is beautiful. If only. If we had more time, I would have you read more of that. That was absolutely beautiful. There are so many questions, the if onlys that you had in there that I actually want to talk to you about, but we don't have all the time. But if only we can talk about this after the show. But what other hobbies do you have?
I I garden. I love gardening barefooted sometimes. It's called grounding. My wife got me into that, and it works. It does. You should try it.
Wow, okay.
It just releases something in you. And then I
Barefoot
started playing the guitar. Yeah, I started playing the guitar.
Okay. How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this probably about, well, actual practicing and working probably about 4 or 5 months.
4 or 5 months. Okay, so you just started.
I'm just a beginner, but it's fun.
Okay, so we have to take a commercial break, but do you mind playing something simple, basic?
I can.
What can you play for us
I
after
can
the
try.
commercial break?
I can try something that a beginner would,
Okay, all right. Okay, so don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss the second half of this show.
Still to come.
In adult life, you see that all those mistakes you make earlier, the missteps, they're what help to shape you. You're not gonna make it without making those mistakes.
What I like about the Reggio Emilia approach is that we don't have a fixed curriculum. Our curriculum is very flexible. We make our curriculum based on the interest and passion of the children.
Choose a Reggio Emilia inspired school where your kids can learn in flexible spaces and with mentors that are willing and ready to work with them based on their interests. At Cashel Creative Arts Center, a Reggio Emilia inspired school, we help build social skills, we enjoy learning, we express ourselves with confidence, and we welcome new experiences.
Do you need a reliable security service for your home or business? Interpool Security Guard Service is the answer. Contact them today.
All right, welcome back. Let's jump right back into it. So to all of our studio audience, this one's for you. Hit it. So, most people just learning will be like, I am not embarrassing myself on national TV, but the fact that you actually did that, I am so great. It says a lot about you. You guys give it up for him, please. Wow. Wonderful. Childhood dreams often reflect our aspirations and passions. So can you tell me, what did you want to be as a child? What did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a business mogul, like a major Liberian business, personality. My dad, like I say, ran a business, agriculture.
Okay.
It's called Cameco Agriculture Marketing Company, Cameco. And we had buying stations all over in different places. Buy rubber, he specialized in rubber, but he did other products too. We had poultry, we had livestock, and that's what I wanted to be. I want to incorporate real estate somehow. I'm very interested in real estate. I love it, and agriculture. So that was my actual dream. Had nothing to do with
And
politics.
now you are in construction.
I am
Yeah, you do a little bit of agriculture now.
a little bit of agriculture, and yeah. So
So you're
I
living your dream.
I am living my dream. I
Yeah,
realize I'm living my
you're
dream.
living your dream. All right, so let's move on into adult life, right? So you're a change agent, an educator, a business advocate, a life coach. So can you share a significant moment or experience in your life that you know that you did to shape someone else's life in these things that you do?
Yeah. So I run a program, a reading program for young students. And the way I started is interesting. Is I used to work as the deputy for administration at the airport, and I would have people come in with application letters, and literally it would be, some of them would be great, some of them would be definitely not great, and I would always then interview them, and the letters never matched the people. people. And I realized that everyone was really functionally illiterate. So I didn't know where to start. And I was really frustrated because it was not just one or two, it was like the whole batch. We actually have a serious situation in Liberia today in terms of personnel. So I just went back to school and started teaching. And I literally went to actual school and said, can I volunteer teacher? And he agreed. And that's how this whole program started. It's been going on for over 10 years now. Every single class I have, there's like one or two or three bright kids. Despite the state of the educational system, they have that passion, that drive, and they excel. And then I basically adopt them on as my own special case, and I run them through. My sister is an educational specialist, so she helps me a lot, and I take them through all the way until they help them with applications for colleges and so on and so forth. So I have about two or three of those cases where they have now gone and they're in, higher education, either here or abroad.
And this is 10 years you've been doing this.
Over 10 years, yeah.
It's amazing. So growing up during the war, right? I know you had to leave to go to the U.S. I know even for myself growing up, there was bullying and teasing and whatnot, once we moved to the U.S. What was it like for you having to leave Liberia, relocate to a new country, a new culture so quickly?
It was, okay, because of the circumstances, it was traumatic for all of us for so many different reasons.
Yes.
But when we went, I went to the U.S. just like you. Going to the U.S., there was no bullying with me. I'm a pretty big guy. I've been this size since I was 12 years old. So, and at the time, I was really big. I was lifting weights. And so when I got to the U.S.,
Nobody was bullying you.
That wasn't the guy you wanted to bully. But what I did encounter that was very added to the trauma. That was the first time I was confronted with racism. Okay, I had come from a Liberia where we didn't see color. Okay, I went to the LWA. I went to some of my best friends were white.
Yeah.
So this is the first time I came in contact with white-black racism.
Yeah.
And it was confusing to me because it didn't fit where I had come from. I was like, how can we have come from there? And like my best buddies were like white, and we were like, and then I come here and they're like, there's supposed to be a problem with us, and it was everywhere. It was pervasive, and I couldn't understand it. And so then
And you were a big black guy, so
right,
you probably faced it more.
right, because then people started to react to me based on that, and I didn't expect them to react because all of my white friends from here didn't. It wasn't because I was
Yeah,
black.
it
So
wasn't.
that was what, not bullying or teasing, but
Yeah.
having to confront and learn about racism, white-black racism,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I now don't even consider it racism. I just say discrimination because I felt a lot of discrimination in some other countries where everybody's black.
Yeah.
So it's just discrimination.
Yeah, it's real. It's real. So I want to show you another picture. This is a picture of your family, beautiful family right here. So
Thank you.
family plays a pivotal role in shaping our lives. Now, I want you to describe your wife, Lorraine, who's sitting in our studio audience, and how she supports, strengthens, and affirms you daily.
Well, like I said, from the first time we met, the first conversation we had, and this is the guy who didn't want to be in England. And in fact, I didn't tell you, but on that trip, I extended my stay for 2 days. So,
Of course you did.
right. So she has such a passion for Liberia, a very subtle kind of passion. Not like me, mine, like anybody who knew me from whenever, they'll tell you, listen, even what I'm doing now, they'll be like, because I didn't know I was going to be in active politics or anything like that, but I always was so passionate about Liberia. Hers is more subtle, like it doesn't show. But when you get engaged with her, you start to talk to her, you saw it. And so because of that, many people wouldn't as readily support the kinds of aspirations or things that you do. So you wake up in the morning, one morning, you're going to tell your wife, I'm thinking about running for president. Not every wife would be like, yeah, let's run for president. Just turn our whole lives topsy-turvy. But she has that sort of deeper understanding. And I almost feel sometimes that before I even come to her certain things, she's already understanding. And for someone like myself, that is worth its weight in gold because, any sort of encouragement is, you're hearing negative feedback from everywhere else, okay?
Yeah.
From everywhere else. So that is dear and near to you, once it sort of reflects that or supports you, then it makes a difference. So you can go out in the world and be like, I don't care what anybody say.
Yeah.
I got my backing. And so
Yeah.
that's what that offers me with her.
That is awesome. Awesome. So I'm also looking, and your boys are also in the audience. So how has your role as a father influenced your leadership principles and dedication to community and service?
Well, you know, raising children, being in a family is really just a microcosm of what we do in the world. So good parents are good leaders, and terrible parents are terrible leaders, basically, because everything you do with your family is what you're going to do on a macro, larger scale. And so, but a lot of times with kids, what people don't understand is, I find that you learn more from them than they even learn from you.
100% agree.
And so I have fun learning from them. And besides, all of the techie things that they know, but patience, they also teach you patience, which is a very critical asset that you'll need to lead anyone, or to lead anywhere. It's great to watch them because they're at the stage where they're making their mistakes. And so I know growing up, it was a little bit different because, my dad was a little bit type A and he didn't want you to make any mistakes. You had to get right. So I enjoy them making the mistakes and I laugh about it because in adult life, you see that all those mistakes you make early, or the missteps, they're what help to shape you. You're not going to make it without making those mistakes. Nobody rides a bike without falling. And so I enjoy seeing that because we've passed that stage. So now I can relive it through them and say, okay, and some of the things, and they're like freaking out. Like one of my sons, he's a type A too. He wants everything to be perfect. I'm like, dude, it's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Now don't worry about it. It'll be fine. It's like, you sure? I'm sure. It's gonna be fine.
I have a daughter like that. I know exactly what you're saying.
And so that helps because and it shapes me, and I see it in leadership.
Yeah.
Because then you can apply that to the rest of the world.
Right. Awesome. So I'm absolutely enjoying this conversation, and I'm sure the audience is too. But don't change that channel or swipe up online. We'll be right back.
Do you need a reliable security service for your home or business? Interpool Security Guard Service is the answer. Contact them today.
What I like about the Reggio Emilia approach is that we don't have a fixed curriculum. Our curriculum is very flexible. We make our curriculum based on the interest and passion of the children.
Choose a Reggio Emilia inspired school where your kids can learn in flexible spaces and with mentors that are willing and ready to work with them based on their interests. At Cashel Creative Arts Center, a Reggio Emilia inspired school, we help build social skills, we enjoy learning, we express ourselves with confidence, and we welcome new experiences.
Welcome back. So we talked about his early years, his hobbies, and his family. Now let's talk about his work-life experiences. But before that, let's see how fast he can think on his feet with a little word association game, okay? So I'm gonna say a few words, and I literally want you to say the first thing that you think of right away. No time to think, right? Just say, no time to, ponder it. Here we go. Hands.
Feet.
Liberia.
Paradise.
Lorraine.
Wifey.
Flag.
My heart.
President.
Stress.
Elections.
More stress.
Wonderful. Give it up for him. Thank you for playing. All right, so thank you so much for playing that game with us. So your experience in the aviation sector, from the Ronald Reagan National Airport in the U.S. to the Roberts International Airport here is very impressive. So I believe your mother worked at the airport as well. Is it ironic that you were also working at the airport?
It is. And actually, when I came back from the States working at Reagan with Piedmont, when I came back, I actually came into the position that she left off as deputy.
Wow.
And
Same job.
It was really surreal. I'm serious. And it's the funniest thing. The whole process of trying to get the job was so intense that I didn't even realize that was what was happening until months and months and months later. And then I was like, it just dawned on me. I was like, I want to go full circle.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, so.
That is cool. So we talk about your mom. Can you tell me something about your father? I know we know that he owned businesses, but
Yeah.
something interesting about him.
I'll tell you two things interesting.
Okay.
My dad had a photographic memory. He has
A photographic memory?
Yeah, anything he
Okay.
looks at, that's it.
Wow.
My mom would tell us that he would never study. He just had to read everything, and that was it. And he spoke every single language in Liberia, including Deng.
Every dialect.
Every single one.
Fluently.
Not all fluently, but he
could
could
understand.
communicate.
Wow,
Yeah, he
that's
would
impressive.
communicate well with anyone.
Wow.
Unbelievable. But
Do you? Do you speak a
I
dialect?
don't.
You didn't even want to learn, or?
Well, I mean, if you speak it all it was, then I don't know which one we learned. But
Correct.
he was good. It was very. It's amazing. I mean,
Yeah,
I still
that
haven't
is
found
pretty
anybody
impressive.
else that
That does that.
Yeah.
So your commitment to development of Liberia's youth through the Robert F. Morris Reading Club, the Uplift Foundation, can you share another or maybe just one very heartwarming story from your work with the youth, illustrating like the positive impact?
Yeah, so I teach this class now. Now I have the reading club to try to address our foundational skills. But I have, so every year I teach a class, and these kids are like my kids now. And we teach them, what we teach them are life lessons.
Yeah.
We teach them things like how to write a letter. We teach them etiquette, like how to eat at a restaurant, things that nobody else thinks about. But I
Yeah.
know it's a challenge to a lot of
And it's
people.
needed.
And I have kids, and so that we take them out. So this particular one, it was kind of referred to that question that kind of made my heart smile. We take them to, after I teach them etiquette, how to set the table, how to, you know what to do with the napkin when you're done, the fork, the knife, and all these other things. Then we take them out to, we take one day and we take them all out to like a restaurant. And they have fun, and it's basically a test.
Yeah.
But they're excited because some of them have never been to a restaurant,
Yeah.
a nice upscale restaurant. And they all do 100%.
Wow.
Every single one. These are kids who have never had to eat with like
A knife and
utensils
fork,
and knife and fork and
yeah.
all that, and they do 100%.
That's gotta feel
It
great.
feels good because
Yeah.
that shows you that we have potential and capacity as human beings, as Liberians.
Yeah.
That where we are, we're only there because nobody's made the effort
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
take us to the next level.
Absolutely. Rob, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. I've made you read poetry, I've made you play the guitar, you've shared your story, your relationship with your family and your wife. I mean, I'm so grateful for this time. But I can't let you leave without asking you one very important question, and that is, what is the main reason, or why are you running for president of the Republic of Liberia?
Well, righteous indignation. Yeah. And which is what I think is a very nice way of saying, like, I'm really pissed off about everything that's happening, but righteous indignation. I've lived in countries in this region, Ivory Coast, Ghana. I'm not talking about in the West, I'm not talking about in Europe. I'm talking about right around us. And we see people like yourself and myself being able to express their self-determination in their country. I mean, with development, everything in all sectors.
Yeah.
And you come to us that are the oldest nation with some of the brightest people, the most talented people.
Yeah.
And we seem not to be able to get it going, and everybody makes an excuse, and everybody wants somebody else to do it, and we keep having people do it, and it doesn't seem like it's doing so. I just got righteous indignation, or AKA pissed off, and said, listen, I'm going to go fix it.
We were talking in the back, you said that, if you got to get the work done, you've got to do it yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so this is what it is.
That's basically what it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for that answer. So thank you for sharing your story with us. It's clear that he's not just a politician, he's a person with depth and humanity. And to all of our viewers out there, remember, behind every candidate is a human being with a story to tell.
This show has been brought to you by Interpool Security and the Creative Arts Center.